Digital assistants such as Amazon's Alexa or Google's Home are a great basis for student projects because it's a use case that students are typically familiar with. A project I've run many times now is to help students to create their own virtual assistant in Scratch by getting them to train a machine learning model to recognize commands like turn on a lamp. They do this by collecting examples of how they could phrase those commands. Now, by the time I do this project, my class has normally learnt that they need to test their machine learning model with examples they didn't use for training. So students, they like to break things, so they enjoy looking for edge cases that are going to trip up the machine learning model. In this case, it's about finding unusual ways of phrasing the command that their model won't recognize. I remember one student came up with activate the spinny thing as a way of asking to turn on the fan, which I thought was inspired. But when the model gets something wrong, what should they do about that? Now, students will normally suggest by themselves, if you give them a little prompting, that a good thing to do is to collect examples of what their machine learning model gets wrong and then put those examples into one of their training buckets. That means that every time it makes a mistake, they can add that to these training buckets and then use this to train a new model. And it means their machine learning model will get better and better at recognizing commands like this in the future. They typically think of this for themselves because with a little understanding about how machine learning technology behaves, this is a natural and kind of an obvious thing to do. But when Amazon was found to be doing this, mainstream media was surprised. Really surprised. Shocked. Many of the articles included journalists essentially saying they had no idea that this was something a machine learning project might want to do. But students who've worked through a similar process for themselves, they can understand the motivation. Now, this is not to say that students automatically think this is acceptable or appropriate. Most classes I've run are typically mixed on this issue. Some students think it's reasonable, others think it's inappropriate, and I've watched them have some fantastic debates about it. But the crucial thing is, they debate this in the context of an understanding of the technology and an understanding of the motivation of tech companies, an understanding that is often lacking in the media reporting. First-hand experience with machine learning technologies gives students a crucial insight into the behavior and the motivation of big tech.